We want to learn what's happening inside the prison systems, and you are an insider. You're getting a lot of information from inside the prison, and you actually were part of the CDCR. You were actually working you were actually a correctional officer. Can you tell us what's happening now in the prison system?
Right, yeah, I resigned in December 1st, 2022 as a result of all these changes for the worse, not changes for the better. And you're right when you said that there was 6 murders in the first 6 weeks of the year 2024. That is not normal. That is abnormal, even for California prison standards. The majority of these could have been prevented had the administration and managers utilized common sense, followed policy, as opposed to following an agenda or what is being told from above them. You know, I was a lieutenant, so I was a supervisor. I was in charge of inmates, sergeants, and officers. And my job became extremely stressful, unnecessary, unbearing stress. Because one of the changes they did recently, starting in around 2019, was the non-designated program, the integration of inmates that were protective custody, you know, the rapists, the sex offenders, the dropouts, and the general population, your regular gang members, and they mixed them. They made us mix them. So when you mix those individuals, they're gonna kill each other. And that's what you're seeing right now at an accelerated rate.
For the average people that would look at the prison, like me, I look at the prison system, and I haven't watched a lot of documentaries on prisons, but what does it look like inside the prison system?
So California prisons are racially segregated amongst themselves, the inmates. They will segregate themselves by races. The races that you have are Mexicans, blacks, whites, and the others. The others consist of not the other 3. Amongst those racial ethnic groups, you have your gangs, right? You have your northern Hispanics, your norteños. They branch off of the Nuestra Familia. They oversee. You have your sureños. They branch off of the Mexican Mafia. They oversee. You have the black gangs. You have the Black Guerrilla family. You have the Bloods. You have the Crips. You have Bay Area. Those are the Oakland, San Francisco area inmates. You have your Fresno Bulldogs. Your Fresno Bulldogs are located out of Fresno, and they don't get along with anybody, right? So you can see it's pretty diverse. You have your whites. You have your skinheads. You have your Aryan Brotherhood. Then you go to the protective custody, the S&Y side. You have gangs that have dropped out of those gangs and formed their own different gangs. You have the 2-5ers, the Northern Riders, the New Flowers, the Green Lighters, the Gay Boy Gangsters. So you can see all of these different gangs that function inside of a prison. They all have their little groups. They sometimes fight with each other, fight against each other. It becomes extremely violent.
Did you ever see that?
I worked at Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility, RJD, in San Diego. Again, I was a lieutenant. However, I was part of the crisis response team, which is the SWAT team for inside the prison. I was armed with a 40-millimeter less lethal weapon that shoots the foam baton rounds or the wood rounds, the blocks that bounce. And we got word that we were gonna bring a bus full of general population inmates. There had to have been like 12 on this side and 12 on this side because there was 2 different buildings. And we were all ready, we were all prepared, and those buildings had their enemy in there. So we walked them into their buildings, and of course it kicked off like a riot, automatically. So I had to use, along with my other partners, use force, batons, pepper spray, OC grenades. And when we restrained them, we took them outside to the basketball court. And then that's when they said, we're gonna cut off these restraints, we're gonna bring you back in here, and we're gonna keep doing this all night until you guys get tired. I've been involved in numerous riots, and I've never seen blatant disregard for life like that, the inmate's life.
Can you explain that? What do you mean?
Right now, California is trying to emulate the country of Norway, the Norway model. For the people that don't know, they can Google California model. And in essence, they're trying to emulate what Norway is doing in their correctional setting and bringing it over here. If you ask me, I think there's money involved. Somebody's getting paid to implement this program here. However, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that the population in Norway is definitely not the population in California. All the gangs we have here. Sureños, Norteños, Bloods, Crips, Mexican Mafia, Nuestra Familia, Black Guerrilla Family, and the Aryan Brotherhood. There's so many gangs in Los Angeles alone.
So essentially, we have done reform inside the prison system. And you have seen that because you've been in the correctional facilities for 16 years. Like, you had 16 years of experience, right? So, and this reform is following a Norway model. Can you explain to us what's the change for average people that don't understand what's happening?
So, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation controls the narrative. They have a website. And on their website, they will show you pictures of inmates with dogs smiling, inmates gardening a little plant, a little rose, and saying it's blossoming and how beautiful it looks. However, if you work in a prison or you're an inmate inside the prison, you know exactly how it is in there. It is dangerous, right? It's nothing like sunshines and rainbows and butterflies. CDCR is controlling the narrative and trying to fool the people of California, saying, look, what we're doing is working. But if it's working, why would you have 6 murders in a 6-week back-to-back period? I believe in rehabilitation. I believe in rehabilitating these inmates, but they're going about it the wrong entire way. I want you to imagine them going up, I mean, this is to a Mexican mafia member and telling them, hey, you will rehabilitate, and then putting them in an area with a child molester. He's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him. And it is
the Mexican mafia will kill.
Absolutely, 100%. You know what I mean? You can't force that type of rehabilitation. But as correctional peace officers, we're obligated to protect all inmates. That's our role, that's our job.
Why would he kill the child molester?
They have their own written rules, they have their own code. These gang members, these criminal organization prison gangs, the way that they grew up indoctrinated into a local street gang, right? They're taught a belief system, and I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just something that I've gathered and I've witnessed. And if they don't realize the path that they're heading, or they never get, the big picture, it's not going to end well for them. So it's like putting 2 beta fishes together. We know that 2 beta fishes are going to attack each other. And that's what you're seeing inside the California prison system. Let me simplify.
So inmates are killing each other,
yes,
essentially.
Right. Let me simplify it. It's like working at a zoo, and they've opened up every single cage. To the bears, to the lions, to the panthers, to the giraffes, to the elephants, and you got the correctional officers like, oh my God, what have they done here, right? And they're at risk. Everybody's at risk. That's exactly what California prisons are like right now, 2024.
And why did they do that? So they followed this model, right? It says it's a Norway model. Like, why?
So they can say, oh, look, they're getting along. But they're not getting along. They will never get along. You can't. Prison operates different. And it might be hard for people that have never been there or worked in a prison to understand that's its own world. It's its own society. They have their own rules. The inmates have their own belief system. Believe it or not, they have their own code and honor, where they will not allow a child molester to be in the same room with them, right, if they're still general population. They have orders on behalf of their leaders to kill them immediately.